Praise be the bird gods! We have here yet another one of our games from the 1 vs 1 Polytopia League, where I am playing as Quetzali versus an Omaji on a small drylands map. This is the game where the opponent, in this case, it is going to be Star-Lord. I'm sure you've heard of him. Hosted it as a small drylands, and they picked Omaji. And me being the idiot I am, I went, well, I'm going to play Quetzali because I want to play Quetzali in all the games possible. Which, by the way, the rules are set up. I can pretty much play Quetzali in nearly every game that I am not the host of. So it looks like over here we've got an okay start to be going with. Moving the defender out, moving the warrior down, and I am trying to get a foothold on the center of the map, as defenders are pretty good very early on, rushing to where they need to get to, claiming the village, and then after that, they can easily hold their position with the assistance of warriors and riders. I don't know why I didn't go up to the north over here. Not gonna lie, this game happened about a month or two ago, but the league is now nearing its end, and I really just wanted to show you all of the extremely exciting games that took place. So I move forward into the center, and what do you know? We end up finding our village, the one that I am going to be claiming and holding for the rest of the game. We're going to pick up the organization technology, grabbing our workshop, as organization is good enough for me to get my explorer in the center of the map, as well as level up my capital to level 3. It is not good enough to assist me with my southern city I have over here, but that is a problem that we will be tackling later. Capturing the center, I am going to go ahead and go with that explorer so I can see everything that's going on, and the explorer, what do you know, goes to the north side of the map and reveals nothing of value for me. I am able to see that, luckily I didn't go towards the north. Even though all the signs showed that, hey, there's a village there. Nope, turns out it's a mountain. So I got moderately lucky that I didn't go the wrong way. But with that, we're also able to see that I've got a lot of distance to cover in order to be able to claim other villages, as there might be one more here in this back corner. But other than that, I am short when it comes to villages against Omaji. So leveling up the capital, we're going to go with those resources, as we know at this point I am in dire need, going with more warriors. And going to go with that riding technology, starting to get a glimpse of what the enemy is up to. Moving north, trying to go to those ruins. However, an unfortunate timing of events, we're now seeing multiple riders, and Omaji is really good at spamming riders out. If I'm not careful, I can easily lose tempo in this game, and it'll be over before you even know it. So they claim their ruins. They've already got roads, so we're going to go forward and have plant our defender right here next to their city. What this allows us to do is slow down any advancements that they're going to be making in the center right over here, and they're going to have to go over this defender first before being able to accomplish anything else. Now, sure, they can go around it, but you'd be surprised how annoying a simple defender just planted right next to an opponent's village is. This means that they must have at least some unit on that village at all times, or risk having that village sieged for no good reason at all. Plus, Rider and Roads are heavily slowed down. Now, they're not fully countered, but Riders have issues killing defenders. However, defenders are passive units, so notice I'm not going to be spawning out more unless I'm just planning on losing tempo of the entire game. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit of pressure, and the enemy is going to road forward, sieging my central city. I'm going to try to go onto those ruins, position my riders to unsiege. They're going to capture the center, capturing more villages. I'm now down to 2. And they're just spamming out riders everywhere. claiming the village down here, so I lost the race to the south, I lost the race to the north, sure, I got the ruins, and they already have a giant. As y'all could probably tell, this is not the exciting game. We're gonna go on to game number 2. This is one that I ended up losing, but I wanted y'all to see this for a reason. Is very early on, we're just gonna go ahead, hold on. So now we're gonna answer the question of what went wrong in this game. Now, remember, I'm wanting to play Quetzali in every single one of the games that I am able to, which because of the point system is going to be every game the opponent's host. I didn't announce that, but I'm sure everyone noticed that, hey, this is weird, he's only playing Quetzali. So rider forward and followed up by another rider. This is typical Omaji start. You just start off with 2 riders, and then before you claim the village, you pick up organization or whatever technology is going to level up your multiple cities. Most cases, organization, because the following turn after that, you're able to start leveling up your cities just fine. Over here, moving my units forward, I'm having to go quite a ways away in order to just find my first village. And sure, I was able to claim the center of the map, but here's the weakness of Quetzali, is sure, they have an abundance of resources. Heck, that could be considered one of their strengths. But based on their abundance of resources, they have nearly everything except for crops to make farming not so useful. And the other thing that makes it a lot more complicated for Quetzali, the resource they typically have the most of is fruits, which means that you're going a useless direction in the technology tree. Not only that, you already have strategy, so organization literally for Quetzali is a dead-end technology. You already can pick up diplomacy, you don't need organization for that. So unless organization can help with all of your cities, Quetzali's then going to be having the issues of economy. Just their economy can't keep up. It costs too much to level up all of their cities. Whereas Omaji, in this case, with their riders that they're just fanning out everywhere, gets a wonderful explore off. And then, oops, we're actually going to go to auto. I didn't realize that because the way the vision's going. So they're just fanning out with everything they've got. They've got a good spread of villages that they're able to claim right from the get-go, whereas mine, as Quetzali, mine are really kind of just spread apart. I actually got lucky I didn't accidentally go the wrong way, but I should have gone north instead. And then for the center, I needed to be supporting this and falling back rather than trying to be as aggressive as I was. Because notice, every direction I'm going, I am losing this race. We're going to go to the center. We're also going to be heading north. And Omaji, well, they already have riders, so all they need to do is pick up roads. And the roads are going to let them get a very fast giant in their capital, which allows a snowball of effects. Watch my Yadak video for a guide about roads. And with that, they're able to get increased economy, spam out riders everywhere, and they are now ready to start killing everything that I've got off. So did I really do anything wrong this game? A little bit. A lot of this was really just luck, and Omaji in this very scenario on Drylands is good against Quetzali. Not too much else I could get other than I needed to be a little bit more protective about my units and trying to count my opponent's movements. I should have figured out that, hey, there were 2 riders up here in the north, there's got to be another one in the back. They already have roads, riders can go everywhere, and that rider was very exposed. I actually ended up just playing this match very poorly. I'm going to pick up climbing right over here just to go on to these mountains, and then they're going to flood my warrior down, claim those ruins for themselves. They're going to be able to swarm me in the north, kill off this defender in the center, and that's going to spell the end of that, as my riders, because of all the abundance of forests, aren't able to do a thing, and I can't afford roads. We're going to move on to the next game, the actual exciting game that we're going to be talking about. Alrighty, and we are back with game number 2. This one is going to be against Gavlina. I have no idea how to actually pronounce that, Gavlina. I believe they actually placed first, but this one was an exciting match. And once again, this is going to be an Omaji versus Quetzali on a small dry land. Turns out a lot of people liked playing small dry lands, and then of course they always picked Omaji, as Omaji is probably the strongest of the lower tier tribes on that tribe list. But I've got a huge abundance of fruits available, so whereas the last game I had the issues of my resources weren't matching up, this time looks like that's not going to be the case, as we've got fruits for days. But we're going to see how that works out. So last time I also ended up spreading out my troops a little bit too much in a way where they weren't able to support each other, and I advanced them forward in a way where they also got caught out. Hopefully I learned my lesson, and we're going to not spread them out and let everything get killed so quickly. Of course, typical start. I'm going to be trying to find that village, and with that rotten luck, we go north, just like I said I should have done last game. And also like last game, lo and behold, there's no village. So that's a bummer, and once again, look at that, another huge gap between my capital and a village. I'm trying to go around instead of just getting outswarmed in the center. Okay, we're just going to go around to the outside, and that is not paying out for us at all. Looks like we're unable to find our first village. Our first village is behind us, not towards the center. But hopefully, as long as I pick up organization, level everything up, everything should work out in the end. As right over here, we can easily get a level 3 city at Ilcho. And with an Explore, I'm able to get a vision of our opponent. Leveling up Ilcho, my southern city. I'm going to get that Explore, figure out what in the world is going on. And he's going to go back and forth in probably, the most inconvenient way possible. But I'm able to now see that once again, my opponent Omaji is going to be in the opposing corner, and we've got a lot of fruit right there in that center. If I could save up my stars, get riders, I may be able to rush and combat my opponent for that central village. Grabbing my level 3 city for the resources, as that's free economy. Again, I'm going to be going for an Explore here, as I really need to see what's going on, and hopefully I can meet my opponent. And there we go. We now are able to see and find their capital, and that's a lot of riders. There are riders everywhere. But Quetzali's pretty defensive. I should be able to make a comeback with this. I've got only 3 villages compared to their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about to be 6 villages. But as a Quetzali main, I know how to hold a defense. And right over here, yes, they went ahead and killed my warrior on the southern village that I was going to try to get. There's absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to kill that rider. So now it's going to be 7 or 8 villages to my 3. But again, as Quetzali main, I know how to hold a defense. They're roading their units forward and they're sieging. There's no way I'm going to unsiege that. They're blocking my raid. Yeah, they absolutely... Yeah, I can't unsiege my Well, I can unsiege the capital, but everything's going to get sieged next turn. Yeah, I got ran over by letting the center go, as I was going to go for the outside rather than the inside, thinking, well, maybe I can just build up an economy better that way and avoid getting rushed down. So we're not going to go on the outside. Hopefully we learned our lesson there. That one is blatantly obvious. I should have just had my defender go in the center, and I would have had more of the map. I don't know why I didn't do that. I don't know what I was thinking there. That was just, learn from this mistake. That was a really horribly played game. On to the next one. Alrighty, and we're actually serious this time. Comedy comes in 3s. This is going to be the 3rd and final game of the 1v1 League, where I am playing as Quetzali on the small drylands map versus Omaji. This time, Omaji is being played by T. T is for Tiger. And of course, they always get the first turn advantage as they are the host. I'm going to go ahead for this one, show both views of this game so we can see everything that's going on. As I've been saying since the very start of this part, this is a very exciting game, and you'll be able to see exactly why. Everything moving forward, right out of the gates, finding a ruins and absolutely no resources. The only thing Omaji really should be doing at this point is probably claiming those ruins and try to get a huge boost, and hopefully this other rider that they train in their capital is able to find something a little bit more southern right over here. Whereas over here, I've got a huge mountain pass, so I've got a big, giant defensive point to work around. But the issue is it's also blocking off my natural form of expansion. I've also got two sets of resources. I've got fruits in the north, and I've got animals in the south. So I've got a choice to make in how I'm going to be moving out my defender as well as my warrior. As y'all are going to be able to see here, Omaji gets lucky, is able to find some fruits when they go into the ruins, but they may as well claim those ruins. And there is a village a little bit to the southeast of their capital, going backwards, not the direction they really want to be going, but any direction, any village is better than no village at this point. I move my defender directly south as there's more animals to the south than there is to the east. And I figure, okay, well, at this point, this is probably my best bet for finding a village. And I'm going to be sending the warrior north towards all of those fruits. And at this point, Omaji, very lucky with the technology they get from these ruins, granting them roads, so they are already starting off better than a Yadak player right from the gates. Next thing they should be doing at the start of their next turn is picking up organization, followed up by leveling up either their capital or their village that they have just claimed. I would be leveling up the capital with organization technology. Actually, no, they can't quite do that yet. I'm miscounting. But we're going to be moving our defender towards the center, as I don't want to be losing that pressure in the center. We're learning from our last game. As sure, we have to spread our units out, but I got to be careful about it, because sure, I could be overrun by Omaji, but I still need to play defensively and claim the center of the map. Omaji's now finding their village. As I was mentioning before, they're going to pick up their fruits, and they're going to find another village, knowing that at this point, I am in the opposite corner of the map based off of this land generation, and I am playing as Quetzali. At this point, they already should know I'm playing as Quetzali with the way the tournament's set up, but now they know. Moving on to both villages at the same time, I'm going to level up my capital for that workshop, as I'm going to need all of the economy I am going to get. With this, moving their rider forward and leveling up their southern city, picking up a workshop. Why a workshop? I have no idea. My honest opinion, I think an explorer would have worked a little bit better. However, there's the off chance that it goes behind and is not very useful, so I understand the caution. But this does allow me to now be claiming not one, but two villages, and I'm going to be going for that Explore. And with this Explore, sure, he kind of waddles around back and forth, but I'm able to see everything I need to in the north. We're going to go ahead and turn off that shared fog so y'all can see that I have vision over a village in the north, and they have not claimed that village in just like in the middle northern quadrant. So I'm able to do something about that. With this last little bit, we're also going to level up my central village, get a workshop there, and then the game goes on. That probably would not have been a bad place for an explorer as well. But at this point, I already had the first meeting bonus. It's time to be moving on. Omaji heading to the center of the map, using their roads to be leveling up all of their cities like a well-veteraned Yadak player. With this, I now have one warrior, one defender set up in order to contest for this central village. This is going to be a very exciting fight, as I don't know why they moved their rider in the middle, but because of all the support they're going to have here, they're going to be able to contest for stuff. However, they should consider, I'm playing as Quetzali, and I've got a defender, and this is not enough to be fighting defenders off. We're going to zoom out just a little bit. We're going to be picking up hunting so I can start leveling up all of my villages. And at this point, I'm going to be picking up a defender just to slow them down. This defender is specifically going to be heading over to the village to halt their progress, training up more warriors to be dealing with the central riders. They're picking up the farming technology. Excellent for Omaji, as that is the way that Omaji is going to be increasing their economy. And trying to be pushing for those giants. We're just about done with the early game. I find that their riders here in the center, in order to put pressure of, hey, if you let me do what I want, if you do what I want you to do, I'm going to be taking your village from you. I have at least one warrior here, and I've got a defender ready to block off all of your support. So even though generally you don't want to kill units, you don't want to attack units unless you're killing them, what this does is it forces him to either retreat and my defender moves on and claims the village, or he can claim it and then I siege it next turn. And all that really does is hurts his economy. And if he can't unsiege it in the following turn, then all he's done is hurt himself for a couple of turns, as he's unable to research as easily. Moving my units up to claim the village in the north. We're just winning all of these races just barely as this fight for the center is starting to go on. Mind you, this is turn 7, so this is quite an exciting Quetzali versus Omaji game. We haven't even gotten to the good parts yet. I attack with the defender to say, this guy's got a shield, but he will fight if he needs to. As if I did not hit with that defender, another unit with the rider would have been able to kill off this warrior, and then I would have lost this village still. And I really needed to respect the idea that he had a rider over here that would be roading forward. As if someone has riders, there's a good chance they have roads. Omaji's going to be placing a bunch of farms, going with the population growth to rush out that giant. Able to get that monument quite early on, placing it in the north to get even more resources and try to contest for the northern villages. Right over here, they're going to keep placing down more warriors, even though they actually have the option to be going riders perfectly safe, and riders probably would have been a better choice for them. We're just going to go to the end of their turn right over here. Well, they actually didn't have enough stars to go for a rider, so I guess they had to go for... Oh, man, I wish I had a checkbox here for just at the end of the turn, pause. But I digress. We're going to be spreading out, getting another warrior to be claiming over here. And notice, I have not picked up riders yet. Normally, riders are essential, but at this point, I'm going, look, the first game I got riders, and the riders weren't able to do anything because of too much forests, and I didn't have the economy to go for roads right away. In the second game, I went to the outside, going, okay, well, maybe let's try to not encounter the enemy so quickly, but enhance our economy. And again, that was the wrong thing to do. This time, again, we're now actually playing smart, fighting for the center, like I did in the first game, as I should have in the second. But I'm not going for riders. Why am I not going for riders here? Well, I need roads in order for units from my capital to be able to assist in the middle. After that, the riders are just as good as a warrior is, but they're more expensive. Sure, they'd be able to fight better on the front lines, but until they get to the front lines, they're just costing me extra stars. Stars that could be improving my economy and producing out more warriors that are actually going to be able to help fight for the exact same cost. Whereas he's also right here, right next to my village with multiple units. A rider here in the north is dead, and then my city is sieged, and as Quetzali, that's a dead player. So riders aren't going to be helping in the north either. Right here in the south, sure, riders could help, but this is the only place where it actually could be helping. And I can't, I for the life of me could not convince myself that riders was the actual correct play. So this is y'all are in for an exciting game, and this is a competitive game too. Quetzali with no riders versus an Omaji. How is it gonna go? We're going to be leveling up that central village. healing up my units just fine, killing the warrior off where I can, and I am going to just gamble that they won't be able to kill off my units. They're trying to move forward to put pressure on my warrior up here, but 2 warriors are unable to kill a defended up warrior on a city. So that warrior that got moved over to the north, that was a technical misplay. They could have killed the warrior here on the forest, but then it would have been just another trade as we've been making so far at the beginning, but now I'm about to outproduce them. However, we've got a new problem. My opponent has a giant, and I am nowhere near close being able to get my first giant, whereas his is currently being rotated to the center as we speak. I'm going to continue to fan out my units as much as I can. They're producing riders, and they've got 21 stars per turn, 22, going with an explorer, as they should, to try to be able to figure out where I'm at and make that rider run a much faster, more efficiently. Their economy, 22 to my 16. Yeah, this is going to be an uphill battle, as we've got a giant that's going to be at my central city in 2 turns. We've got a giant that's going to be at either one of my northern city in 2 turns. And I am on a timer right here. Going to be claiming a village and leveling up everything. Actually, did I not level everything up? Mind you, again, this was all played like a month or 2 ago. I just haven't had the time to record everything. I'm moving my units to the north in order to help defend against this potential giant threat that is coming towards my door. And where are all my stars going? Because I was already out of stars. My goodness. This again, I'm in a heap of trouble. They're going to be slowly exploring right here into the center, leveling up their cities. I am losing in economy, and I'm about to be losing militarily. But again, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be one of the most intense games. It might ignore that big giant bar that's happening at the north, as you get a little bit of a spoiler of what's about to be happening. And by what's about to be happening is a lot. So a giant with a single warrior is going to 100% be able to kill this defender and siege the city. And that is just going to lead to a snowball of events for me to start dying. I've got only 15 stars to my name. I've got a giant I can't deal with up in the north. So I'm going to do this. Well, one thing we've currently got going for us. I have 6 cities, about to have a 7th to my opponent's 5. As I was able to win a lot of the races. I won in the north, I won in the center. And I've got one more race that I need to win in order to solidify my advantage, and that is the race in the south. However, my opponent has decided to get a little bit distracted with these ruins over here. I would have been sending this rider a lot more directly towards this village over here, as you need the village first, and you can send a backup rider over to those ruins if you have the time. Because one thing is economy, another thing is research, but you also have production. If you just outproduce your enemy, you're going to be able to eventually starve the enemy out and kill off all their military, as you've got a whole bunch of little zerglings that you could just throw at your opponent's doorstep. Speaking of doorstep, how are we going to be dealing with this giant and this warrior? So we're going to go ahead and level up the central city and picking up an explorer. I need vision of what is going on. We're going to even show the importance of this explorer, as now I have seen there's now a giant here at my door. We're just going to show their play from my view. There's a giant right next to me, which means I need... Who is screaming outside? My goodness, stop dying. A giant just got rotated over to my city. I need to know what's going on. Do I have more giants? What am I going to be expecting? What are all the units I need to be planning around? So we are going to go with an explorer. Figure out everything that's going on. I'm not getting any stars, but knowledge is power. claiming our 7th village. We have the means to outproduce the enemy. However, we are still behind in economy. We're going to go ahead and turn that shared fog all the way back on, back to auto, so we can see everybody's actions. Moving my units around in the north. As I was mentioning earlier, a warrior and a giant are enough to siege the central village. I don't know if y'all caught that, but at the end of my turn, I researched mathematics, and now I have a catapult. As this catapult is going to be essential to this impenetrable defense. This is going to be one heck of an uphill battle. So, they are now sieging my city. They have units on 2 of my fruits. How in the world are we going to come back from this? As there's also no way I'm going to be able to prevent the siege up in the north. As there's, again, another warrior and a giant. And there's no way I'm going to be able to prevent that siege in the north. So, using mathematics, we're going to grab border growth to make it harder for my opponent to road with their units, as well as pick up more forests, allowing me to still moderately cheaply, sure, it's a little more expensive than just going for the pop growth, but we're going to be picking up our first giant. And with that giant, we now have our first metropolis, allowing us to get 5 more stars from our central village. After that, our defender is going to score a kill on the 1 HP warrior, allowing us to harvest the fruit, place down a sawmill for 2 more pops, chopping wood thanks to forestry, to then place another lumber hut for for more pops, to harvest 2 more fruits, perfect stars, giants push the enemy off our central village. They do not have enough units to kill off our giants, and our central city is now safe. But we still have a problem. The northern city. We're going to go back just a little bit, just to show what ended up happening over there. As the catapult moved, but can't attack. So our warrior gets a hit, is going to then kill their warrior off. And a defender on a city, when there's nothing else that can also hit it, is going to be enough to defend against a giant. And that giant is now unable to siege the northern city. So what is our opponent going to be doing as follow-up from all of this? They're going to be moving their units closer to my northern city, and their giant is going to kind of just sit there and put pressure. With all these defenders have a glaring weakness. Defenders are good against riders. They're not a direct counter, but they're moderately good against riders for the fact that riders have to hit and lose most of their health when fighting a defender. 4 riders are required in order to kill a defender. Or maybe it's 3 and then 4 if it's a defended up. I'll have to look that up later. 3 to 4 riders are required just to fight off 1 defender. Pretty certain it's 4. However, archers don't take the damage against defenders. So archers can just outrange them, not worry about any counterattacks, and pelt them down. So now, once again, they're going to be able to siege down my city in the north, thanks to their archer. So he ends up going teching against it, because I've got 1 defender here in the center. I've got giants, but giants are slow. I've got 2 defenders up in the north. He's going to go archery, and that is going to spell disaster for me. So what are we going to be doing against all of this? We're going to be leveling up our northern city, and oddly enough, we're going for stars. Our catapult is going to get a free hit on that giant. And with that bit, an archer plus that giant is no longer going to be able to siege down that city. It may actually require a couple of additional hits, but we'll be seeing that in just a moment. Leveling up our western city to improve our economy. We're now at 27, 28 stars per turn. Leveling up yet another city, 29 stars per turn. Going for an explorer. I need that vision. The last bit of vision before basically giving me all the vision of the entire map, as we're currently on shared fog. But if I turn it off, notice nothing really changed. I see the entire map. Pretty much everything my opponent sees, I have vision of. And I am able to see that this rider's alone, so once again, I am going to hit it with a warrior to say, if you capture this city, I am just going to take it, and there is nothing you can... Dang it. So what's going to be coming up next? Because now I have two giants here in the center, and one of my giants is already severely weakened as my opponent hit it, reducing its health by a lot. If they start throwing all of their units in, my giant may legitimately die. So that is something I need to consider, as if I keep the giant here, they'll be able to throw all their units in and kill the giant and siege it with their giant. Meaning that I'm going to lose the central city. There's no way I'll be able to place a whole bunch of buildings to do another giant push. Second thing I need to consider is just all these units. If they start killing off my defenders, my giants, right over here was the only way that I could place all my units. If I actually even swapped the giant with the defender, they could still be killing off my giant unit and putting me in a bad spot. They could be just running around everything. However, now, if they so choose to try to just throw everything up around to siege my central city, they won't be able to... I'll be able to unsiege it back thanks to the giant over here that definitely won't die. Post-editing Tolby here. Yeah, so that the thing about they're not going to be able to siege the city, nah, that's absolutely wrong. What Omaji would have had to do is they actually had two options. The one that was more likely to happen is with building 3 roads, they could bring this rider. Hold on, we're gonna make this pin just a little bit bigger, a little more thick. To 7. 7's pretty good thickness. There we go. And we're just gonna have them bring the rider all the way over to here. They're gonna go bop-a-da-bop-a-da-bop, and then the rider's gonna just run all the way off somewhere else, wherever they see fit. And that is enough for this giant to go in and secure the kill. Method number 2, if they didn't want to use the rider, is they could use this archer, bring the archer down, hit this, hit the defender right here, and then once again, giant's able to go in, secure the kill. The only things that I have in the area that can immediately deal with the giants sieging this city is this 27 health giant over here, which the enemy can most certainly weaken with up to 4 units over in this corner, and then this warrior. And yeah, that is not gonna be enough in order to unsiege it. However, I do remember thinking that, okay, if this, in the case that this happens, what we're going to end up doing is we're bringing, of course, we're just going to bring this giant up. I'm trying to remember the exact complicated, because this game, as y'all know, this game got really complicated. I think it was, I bring this giant over in order to defend it a little bit so it doesn't get killed off. Bring this giant over because it has more health. It's able to tank, and then we'd be bringing this catapult down, so that way when they go to siege the city, this catapult's able to shoot, this giant, even though weakened, is able to hit, and then my much more healthier giant can secure the kill. My defender at this point, most likely is still alive, is able to block off the enemy and all of their movements, and then we would be getting the city back. Would it be perfect, flawless? Absolutely not. But at this point, since they already had so many giants, and I already knew that right over here, they've used their Park of Fortune, so they can't, they don't have that one. They still have the Killer Monument and the monument for roads, but at this point I saw that they don't even have 5 cities, so they can't get the Grand Bazaar. So I didn't know what other monuments they could get, which means they'd still have to get 3 more food, which they would have access to here and here, and then I'm looking at it, so that's a misplay on my part, but I would have had a lot of the resources in order to fight for the city back. This is probably the one time that I did a little bit of a misplay, but all the other options were not that much better. I did consider having this giant up over here in case they sieged. I don't remember why. I think I was really worried about the enemy just going in and attacking my middle city. And I was just trying to protect that. But nah, now that I'm looking at it, I definitely should have just moved this 40 health giant north and protected my stuff that way. Yeah, that's just a little bit of a note that I'm sure some of y'all are going to be catching, but without further ado, this video is going on long enough. We're going to return to the video. And we are back. So continuing the game, moving my units forward, throwing my units into the giant. So even if the archer gets a ping off of the defender, the giant is not going to be able to siege my city, as the defender is going to be left with 1 HP. They're no longer able to siege and hold the siege in this middle city, as I'll be able to fight it back. So they're going to be moving their unit on to the ruins, and they're going to be trying to deal a little bit of damage to my giants and heal up theirs as well. And notice, I'm going to show one thing. Notice, they did move their archer forward. We're going to go all the way back to the start of the turn. They move their archer forward and find out they are unable to kill my defender with their giants. Else, guarantee you, they would have already been sieging this city with their giants. So what are they going to do instead? Well, they're going to move their giant over to this other northern city where my catapults can no longer siege that giant down. And now I have yet another siege I have to deal with. As this time, there's a warrior here. So their archer plus their warrior and their giants, even if I train a defender, is going to be able to siege the city. So we've got that problem now that we have to deal with. Right over here in the center, they're spawning a whole bunch of archers ready to rain down arrows on my giants and my defenders, as giants and defenders are just too slow. If they move forward, archers move back and pelt them down. My response to all of this, as I'm sure y'all all saw, riders. Omaji's starting tech. It is now finally time for me to be picking up riders. We can't afford roads just as of yet, but we'll be able to start getting riders and start zipping them forward to the front lines momentarily. We move our warrior forward, hitting the archer with not only the warrior, but the defender as well, bringing the archer down to a useless 1 HP. That archer is no longer able to supply any reasonable means of help. And at this point, I'm even throwing the warrior in to weaken their warrior, and now they are stuck in the exact same position they were stuck in last turn. The archer and the warrior are no longer enough to kill off the defender. The giant has to be the initiator in the attack, and the one to finish off for the kill has to be this archer, which means they will be unable to siege this city. Right over here in the center, more defenders. Oddly enough, I see their archers, but we're going to go ahead and start placing even more defenders so they cannot zip units around the north. As if they now have this couple of riders zip around, they could kill off the defender. But now, because of these 2 defenders in the front, they are no longer able to wrap around and sneak a free kill on the city. However, their archer is still able to supply some extra assistance, so we're going to be moving our catapult down one to be able to rain down a boulder on a giant sieging the central city. Plus, our 2 giants right over here will be able to help finish their giants off. Even if they siege the city, this central city will not fall. So, at this point, they hit... Oh, so my opponent uses their archer and forgets to do the damage check to see that this archer is doing 0 damage to this defender. And at this point, the warrior and the giant are no longer able to siege this city. So the warrior moves forward, and the giant's going to go ahead and get that kill. I have a whole bunch of defenders, but that is all I have here in the north, plus my singular rider. What's going to be following up after this? They're going to be moving their archers forward to start pelting all of my units with arrows. That's just a whole bunch of free damage that I'm now forced to take. We're going to rewind a bit, as earlier, when this race to the south was happening, I actually made the call in order to help incentivize. We're going to help incentivize, as sure, they'd be able to fight for this southern city, but I wanted to give an extra incentive. Not only did I hit their rider, but I expanded the borders here to say, if you claim that city, even if you try to place monuments, you're not really going to be able to get a giant in this southern city. As beforehand, they most certainly could. Especially since they have archers, they definitely have, there's a good chance that they have forestry, and we'll be able to build lumber huts, and with monuments, we'll be having some issues. So I expanded the borders in order to help chase Omaji off in the south. So we already went ahead and saw all of those plays. Skipping back to present time. So now, I was able to chase him off the southern city, and while he's got a whole bunch of units ready to start fighting for it, we've got these very inconvenient mountains that is going to make this fight very difficult for Omaji. So we're going to go ahead and claim it, and this makes it to where this game is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 villages to my opponent's 5. This puts my opponent in a very big disadvantage, as now I have the production advantage, and as of this point, they only have 24 stars per turn compared to my 31, 32, 33, 34. Now, this is where a production advantage comes in handy. At this point, even though they have the technology to be able to fight me off and kill all my units one at a time, if I am not careful, even at this point in time right here, like, this giant is still threatening with these warriors, hey, I'm going to siege that city, and if this happens, there's nothing you could do about it, as there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to get a giant to defend that, and then they'll be able to start outproducing me yet again. So we're going to start moving our units forward and try to kill their units off, moving my giants somewhat north, throwing my defender at their giant just to get a heal. As I really just wanted to lower the health of my opponent's giants even further. Every little bit counts. We're going to be leveling up my southern city. Going to be getting a city wall to say, hey, I see you have a lot of units there. If you want to get this city for that production advantage, you're going to have to throw everything at it and more. And at this point, Omaji's no longer able to fight for the south. This is the Quetzali defense at its finest. We're still having to barely fight everything off one at a time, throwing a rider into the warrior and the defenders just to lower the warrior's health. And once again, you can plug this into your calculators. I believe they could siege the city, but it'd be with a 3 health warrior. Not necessarily worth it, and I'll easily be able to unsiege it at that point. They've got a whole bunch of archers that are going to still be able to kill off all my units, especially if I'm not careful. That's 1 hit, 2 hit. They're killing off my defenders in the north. Their archers are getting a whole bunch of free hits. And the next scariest thing has now happened. They have an abundance of archers. And one of the best units to support archers is the knight. Archers can reduce the health of all of the enemy units down to a killable amount for a knight, allowing an extreme knight chain. And now my opponent has 2. And if I am not careful, all of my weak units, especially my catapults in the back, will be able to just be slaughtered by the opponent. And at this point, we are still able to lose this game. Every single one of these turns is a nail biter. The giant is now coming back to defend as they are realizing that with these riders, I may actually pose the threat of sieging their city. Catapult gets a free hit onto the giant. I pick up my roads to start roading my units forward and try to start killing off all of their archers. At this point, we're just spending most of our turn just getting a couple of free hits on those archers, but we're spacing out all of our units. Notice, because of this last minute, hey, there are knights here, all of my units are really low on health. And there's not much I'm going to be able to do for what's coming up. Yep, that's right. We're about to lose nearly everything. But our catapult is completely safe. Our riders here in the back are safe, and I'll be able to road them forward on the next turn. These 2 units here are actually untouchable by the opponent. And these units all the way here in the south cannot be chained because of the city wall. There's absolutely no way that's going to be possible with this unit all the way here in the north. So we did an okay job at defending all of our units, but everything can still go south very quickly. We even threw our defender here on this forest just to say, hey, if you want to send that rider all the way north and siege my city, you can. But you're going to have to deal with this defender first. So how is this going to work out? Well, he's going to be moving his units around and about, trying to pick off all of my central units. And that's a 1 chain, 2 chain. That's a 3rd hit, and then a 1 chain, 2 chain. And then another hit, giant sieges the central city. Finally, my opponent is now sieging the central city, and I don't have the units around to unsiege it. They're killing off my defenders in the north, training up even more knights, trying to get even more giants. However, I am able to score that tempo right here in the south. Hitting with our catapult, hitting with our giant. We're going to be roading all of our units all the way forward and finally scoring that kill on that giant that has been standing next to our central city for so long. Bringing everything back, trying to properly space and accounts for their knights. And setting our units up and about for the Quetzali spear. This is where 2 units will be able to hit a warrior on a city, and then a defender will be able to score the kill, making it very near impossible to unsiege the city, especially with just units and technology as the opponent has right now. Again, spacing out all of our units as necessary. A knight cannot kill a defended up warrior, but they can one-shot a warrior with no defense. So this warrior all the way over here can be killed by the knight if this archer so chooses, but all they'll be able to do is get maybe 4 kills, and then it'll die not too much later. Even these units all the way here in the south, maybe they could score 2 kills, but it's impossible because of these the mountain placement. The opponent just can't get there, not with their knight. So they're going to start using their archers, pelting all of my units once again, scoring free hits. and getting yet another giant. Pushing their units forward. And I don't know if I've said the word giant enough, but getting another giant out of their capital just to have big giant boulders. Gosh dang it. Just to have a big giant unit to be able to have archers right behind it, sieging all of my stuff down, with knights to be able to clean everything up. This is still a very lethal combo that I have to treat with full respect every step of this game. One slight mistake and it can spell and everything is over if I am not careful. So we're going to be moving our units out and about. Rider is rotated forward, killing one archer, sieging their city, halting their production and unit production. We've rotated our units forward into the south, sieging their southernmost city. We're going to score that climbing technology for the Quetzali spear, sieging their northern city. They only have 2 cities left, 8 stars of production. Sure, they're going to be able to unsiege everything with their archers, but at this point, everything's starting to get really rough for my opponent, positioning their giants in order to unsiege everything and continue their unit production. More knights, more archers keep popping out, and again, a single misplay could possibly spell the end of the game for me. We're going to continue our siege in the south, trying to instill even more pressure. That's one siege. Another Quetzali spear gets thrown right here into their central city, surrounding their northern city, killing off all of their archers. They're able to get a single chain going, killing everything off. And then they pick up spiritualism as a flex. They resign at this point, as all of my units, just look how these units are spaced out. And single knights can kill 1, maybe 2 units. Sure, this knight may be able to run around and kill a catapult. The other catapults are going to be able to kill it in response. Sure, this was a very exciting game. There's a lot that could have gone wrong in multiple stages. A single wrong play in the north, the cities would have been lost. A single wrong play in the center, the cities would have been lost. Winning that race and expanding the borders, not necessarily to get a whole bunch of giants, but just to prevent this city from immediately scoring a giant as well, that could have easily spelled disaster as for me, as they had all these units ready to just rush in the south. And a single giant down here probably would have spelled the end. Riders are a very powerful tool. Archers are good against defenders, but just be careful, because if your opponent goes riders are really, really strong against archers. I hope y'all found this game as exciting as I did. I hope y'all learned something from the first 2 games on what not to do. Quetzali has a very natural disadvantage on dry land maps, but hopefully this gives you an idea of what you can do. Spam your units out, improve your economy, and when the time is right, then you can go riders and proceed with the counterattack. Remember, you're the turtle that moves slow and steady. You're not gonna outrace an Omaji player. I hope y'all all learned something from this, and I hope y'all found this game as enjoyable as I did, and I will see you all in the next one.